Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Comic Shop Talk on the Late Night Chat Network, your first stop for pop culture talk. I'm your host, Niko, and joining with me today, as always, no Christmas spirit, Chris.
Ho, 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 Merry Christmas.
A typical Christmas fashion. Here we are once again, flying by the seat of our pants as I'm uploading the art for the episode and typing things up last minute, starting late. We're off to a great start. But yes, this is our last episode of the year proper. In between this episode and the next, we will be dropping the Comic Shop Talk Awards and possibly also the new comic book solicitations video. So stay tuned. You still got plenty of episodes to go around to ring in the new year there for you guys. So we will mention what we're picking up next week at the end of this episode, but that will be the week of December 24th. Will be our next week that we won't be talking about. And then we will also be talking about December 31st, which is the 5th week this month when we come back in the new year. So that episode will drop in the new year. We'll be talking about December 24th and December 31st comic book shipping list at that time. But as I mentioned, in between now and then, you'll get the Comic Shop Talk Awards episode where me and Chris will highlight some of our favorite and not so favorite things we've read this year in a variety of different awards. That'll be a lot of fun. And if you guys want to watch past episodes, you can find that in our playlist here on the channel. But make sure you're subscribed to the channel. 210 episodes. Great few years of doing it. It's been a lot of fun. And today we're going to be talking about the new comic books that came out for the week of December 17th, 2025. And as always, spoiler warning. If you're worried about getting spoiled, you can always read your books and then come back and check us out later. All right, Chris.
All right, let's talk comics.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers. All right. Okay, first up on the docket here today. So got a little bit of a order here all over the place. As I mentioned, I was uploading all this last minute. All right, so Absolute Flash number 10. This is a book that I read here this week, and we don't have art for everything, unfortunately, this week. As I mentioned, I was late to uploading some of it, so well, we'll see. Maybe I'll have something to show you guys here in a minute. So Absolute Flash number 10. This is a good issue. Basically, Eobard Thawne, the Reverse Flash, it seems that he's coming out of this like dark energy world that they've been working on at Star Labs. That Barry has, I guess, had gotten killed over, and now Wally has been waking his way back there with the Rogues, helping him out to help save his dad, who's working for this organization. So yeah, everything's kind of coming together. It's been a long time coming. I think the book's really good at the moment. I've really been enjoying it. The last couple of issues, it's really taken a turn, as most of these Absolute books have in like the second arc. And it's kind of really, gone up a notch in terms of like how interesting the story's been so far. So, yeah, here's some art here for you guys. So, yeah, it's been really good. I'm still really enjoying it. And I'll give this a 3.75 out of 5 this week. I had a lot of fun with this. And it's kind of a different book for Jeff Lemire. I know he's a fan of like a lot of the DC characters, but it's kind of, this necessarily wouldn't be the title I would have told you he'd be writing, or I see him writing, but I do like it. Oh, yeah, and then a couple of new rogues showed up in this issue. I think Weather Wizard, who's one of the famous Flash rogues, showed up in this issue, and Heatwave, I think was his name. He was coming to help take down the other rogues. Like he's working for Star Labs there still, or Argus, or whatever organization they're working for. I think it's Star Labs, because usually that's how it is in the Flash. So yeah, 3.75 out of 5. All right, so next up, Chris, we got let's see here, Aliens versus Captain America number 2.
I bought the first issue kind of just for that cool cover. I wasn't expecting much out of this Captain America, but once again, they're surprising me in the best way possible. I think we have Captain America, is it Nick Fury there? At least the Howling Commandos are with them.
Yeah.
And I think they're Well, yeah, they started. And like they're entering the hive, and I know they're exploring around, and of course one of the xenomorphs, I don't know if it's the hunter killer one or whatever, it comes up, and it's a tough fight for all of them. And then freaking, once they think they tackle one, Captain America does his thing, and it's a struggle. And there's like hundreds of them coming down, and I think Dum Dum gets one of those freaking tails through there. A few people get the face hugger on them. And then once you see all those, whatever, the whole freaking swarm of them coming at them, freaking some giant robot comes down out of nowhere. You don't know what the heck this is about. It freaking mows all the aliens apart. And then I guess the people that are controlling it come down, and they kind of take Captain America and was it Bucky as sort of like kind of prisoners. And he seem to think there's gonna be another throwdown. And then he just turns around and goes, "Oh, don't worry, I'm a captain too." And it's freaking Captain Marvel, or whatever you want to call him.
Yep.
Jeez, that was like, that was something like, wow. I just go, man alive, I should have bought this.
Chris, I'm so glad you feel the same way. While reading this, sometimes I felt like, maybe, the first issue was all right. Maybe we'll just read something to add another book to the lineup for the show. Wasn't expecting much from this. I loved this issue. I thought this was great. Yeah, I honestly, like, with the ending, as you mentioned, the Marvel reveal, with the fact that it really works with them like trying to harvest these aliens for like evil, like the Nazis in World War II, and Baron von Strucker, and the aliens end up taking all of like all of the Howling Commandos. You had like Dum Dum Duggan getting killed by an alien. I'm just like, you know what? This is working. Also, the art is great. I don't know this artist. I forgot to write his name down because I can't recall. Great artist. It's like really inky and gritty looking. Like it works for the type of book that we got here. It's kind of like gives it an overall dark feel, kind of like a sci-fi, like, you know what I mean, like horror type of feel to it with Captain America. Great stuff. I mean, there's even that moment where like he shoots the acid at his shield, and he's like, "Oh, thank God for my shield!" Right? Like,
it feels holding.
But yeah, really great stuff. I agree. I missed this picking this up in physical issues. I've been reading it digitally. I might have to pick up the trade. They really are doing a good job with these alien crossovers. I don't think I'd ever say that. And I thought the Hickman one was going to be like, outside of the norm, right? This was good. This was good so far. Very good.
Yeah, I had very low expectations for this. I thought they always like a diamond in the rough, that Alien versus Avengers. And they hit lightning twice, but I don't know. This one's this hit me right where I want to get hit. I'd give this a 4, no problem. I love this one.
Absolutely. 4 out of 5. Yeah, absolutely. All right, next up we got Batman Superman World's Finest number 46. Let me just bring this one up here. Chris, did you read this one? Do you recall?
I got to see more of what's going on. I think I had the intention to read it, but whether I did or not, I don't know.
This is continuing the storyline of basically that whole, what was his name? Like it's basically Superman and Batman together as one. They did like they almost do.
Yeah, they did the fusion, and so did the Joker and Lex Luthor fused, right?
That's right. Yeah. So that's basically the story that we kind of got going here. It's pretty straightforward stuff. I mean, the Luthor, he's kind of talking like the Joker because the Joker's inside of him. He's got like the Joker speech bubbles going on. And the interesting part about it is like through the issue, though, there's clearly moments that the Joker's talking, and then there's clearly moments that it's Luthor talking. But what you're getting is just inner monologue and them talking to one another, both smashed together, like both Batman and Superman smashed together and Luthor and Joker smashed together. Again, Wade's kind of playing around with like, I don't know, like golden age kind of fun, weird ideas like this, like he kind of always has in this World's Finest. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. This wasn't bad. It wasn't, I wouldn't say like it's the best. It's, I feel like this book, every other arc is like really good and every other arc is like okay, but this is definitely for me, I think more in the just okay kind of category. It was fun, but it's that wasn't blowing my socks off essentially. Yeah. Right? Any thoughts? You did read this clearly, but not memorable, it sounds like.
Yeah, I don't think I read this one. Maybe I might be confusing with the one before then.
Okay, but it was the same kind of storyline that they've kind of
Yeah, it's still the same arc.
Yeah. So, I'll give this a 3 out of sorry, not 3 out of 5. A 3.5 out of 5. It was okay. All right. So next up, let's see here. Okay, doing okay so far. Avengers 33, Chris.
Oh yeah. I know why I read this one. It's just more baloney. I think it's like basically the origin of the Impossible City. There's that Twilight Court who are sort of introduced as villains, and they seem to have been kind of hoodwinked by Meridian, who's really Kang, and they're kind of jumping through time, and then it's just worthless. Well, okay, maybe not worthless, but it's not a bad story, but I don't really need to read it. And it's bringing how can this be leading up to Avengers 800? And there's no Avengers in the whole story. It's disappointing.
You touched on it. It has a lot of potential, but it's failing to rise to the occasion. I don't know, it fails to feel as an important storyline that he's been building up for quite some time. It fails to meet that kind of, that hit the mark in that regard as well. It's, what? I really think it's an interesting idea that he's got almost like a Camelot in space type of thing, like what's his name? Like a King's Court.
Yeah, King Arthur's Court. It'd be nice towards King Arthur's Court in space, and that was the comic. This is Avengers comic.
Well, they did it.
No Avengers.
That was Camelot 3000 for DC.
Yeah, well, there you go. You can have Camelot 3001, and they're coming back in time and doing whatever they do. But I have no connection to this Twilight Court.
No.
The only thing I liked about the Ashen Combine was when they came to Toronto and destroyed it.
Right, I remember that. Yeah, it's just this is just a long, drawn out story that he's kind of thrown Kang into, and he even touches on those year issues that they did, where they kind of show a bunch of stuff that happened.
Timeless ones,
right? Which it's just a bunch of baloney. This stuff, as Chris would say. What is this crap? I mean, this is what we're leading up to. Issue 7 is it 750 of Avengers, or 700 or whatever?
There might be 800. One of 100 issues are coming up.
Yeah, this is just a waste of a story, honestly. It should be a lot better than it is, and it's just not that great, honestly. I'm only just reading it out of the investment of, like you said, that issue coming up at this point. But like we've stated before, Jed McKay's Avengers not that great. What'd you give this?
Yeah, it's a 3.25.
Yeah, I'll go 3.25 because, again, I like some of the ideas that are going on here. It's just not I just don't care. You know what I mean? I want to care. I want it to be better. And I do like the idea of the King Arthur's court kind of in space characters in this. I guess they might be pre-established characters, which I've never heard of these characters before, but kind of interesting. All right, next up we got Black Cat number 5, Chris.
This is an okay comic. I'm really falling for this art here, and of course, got Mary Jane showing up in there. So Black Cat and Mary Jane together, never a bad thing. I was under the impression that this would be a shorter series, or this might have been a 6-issue series, but it seems to be going on for a little while still. So I'm happy about that. And what happens here? She's in jail, and I guess. What's her name? Mary Jane bails her out. I don't know how they get in contact with each other, but they never really explain that. And it did. They kind of do drop some crumbs here that, Mary Jane and Black Cat might be crossing paths again. And with Mary Jane is Venom, which nobody seems to know right now. I do like where they're kind of touching around what's going on with Peter Parker and how they kind of realize that it's not him in the suit, but they have no idea what's going on. The stuff with Tombstone, I guess they're just trying to tie up or finish up that story so he's not so much involved. And I'm still happy to see where this goes. I think the art's great, and for a Black Cat story, it's still holding my attention.
Yeah, I think originally this was solicited as a it showed up in solicits as a miniseries, but I think this is one of those ones, Chris, that maybe it's been popular. Maybe based off of the covers, I don't know. So they extended it. They probably extended it to 10 issues instead of 5, you know, like they have been doing so many of these series so far. But like you said, I've been enjoying it. It's been fun. It's kind of been scratching an itch that I feel like the other like She-Hulk book used to have. You know what I mean? Like kind of slice of life-ish, but not really. Like it's kind of her delving into super heroics. But it's kind of got some a quirkiness to it. It's got some interesting characters in it. The art's good. It's fun. It's not bad. It's not like the best thing out either, but between some of the good covers that have been coming out and the series not being bad, you know, I'll continue buying it for now.
Yeah.
I think that there's a lot to be said about that because there's so many of these female-led comics lately that have had great covers that we've been picking up, especially with the mutant side of stuff, and none of them have been good, really. So, like, and the one that was good, I didn't pick up, which was Storm, which we read. Yeah, of all the one, right? I'm just like, Storm, and then I'm like, oh, this is the best, right? So, you know, that shows you how much we know. Well, wow, look at this cheesecake cover. Anyways, what'd you give this?
I'll give it a 3.5. It's good stuff.
Yeah, I agree. A 3.5 out of 5. Next up, we got Daredevil Punisher Trigger Warnings #2.
Yeah, but I want to see these guys in their own comics in this state. You know, the state or the condition that they're in. I think the Punisher's great here, and Daredevil's great. You know, Punisher's all beat up from something. He's riding the subway. Daredevil's, you know, he's kind of just trying to wash off what Punisher just did to him, and then they run into each other in the subway, where basically Punisher or Daredevil, I don't know how he has to save Punisher for a bunch of street thugs on the subway, but that seems to be the case. And then, you know, kind of once Daredevil, you know, beats up those thugs there, and they get the upper hand, Punisher recognizes the guy that's attacking him, says, you know, this guy's he's been on some charges. And he's ready to blow his head off. And then, of course, Daredevil has to step in. The Punisher's still like, what, you think stopping my gun's going to stop me from killing him? Because it looks like he does end up killing him. And then, you know, what the other thugs are all laid out on the subway. And then the Punisher kind of just walks away and says, hey, you can take these guys to the hospital. You come after me. And I guess he stays to pick up the pieces. So it's still, I say it's more of the same of the first issue, where Daredevil sort of have to kind of make these decisions there where maybe his way is not the best way, or I think, what do they say there? His way leaves doors open, where Punisher's way, you know, is more concrete, let's say. I'm sure that's going to backfire in the Punisher by the end of this series. But I'm here for the ride, though. It's still fun stuff to watch or to read, and it's a great looking comic.
Agreed. This is a solid book. I'm actually really happy about this. It's definitely worth checking out. I was going to say this feels more like a Daredevil book, but with the Punisher in it. But I think the pacing is really well done, to the point where they give them both enough to do each issue so far. Like, they kind of keep crossing paths as these street level kind of, you know, heroes do, essentially, or vigilantes, whatever you want to call them, in the Punisher's case. But I dig this. It's pretty good. And if they are trying to like kind of frame this within the Marvel Knights era of these characters, I think you know, they're doing right by that. It does feel like that. We did need some solid, well-rounded, good Punisher series to come out to bring the character back, and we have about 3 going on right now between the miniseries. So I'm really happy about that, and this is another solid one. They've all been pretty good. So I'm happy about that. You know, maybe I'm just starved for Punisher, but I don't think so. They've all been kind of good on, you know, different levels. And
I think we're just starved for both of these characters, both Punisher and Daredevil.
That too.
Like, this reminds me of those kind of the series like back in the 80s or early 90s, where, you know, this would just be, you know, a couple issues, or, you know, maybe an arc during the Daredevil run, or, you know, might cross over into the Punisher run. And, you know, then that's why I think those runs are all, or, you know, those series that, you know, ran whatever 200 issues were, you know, they had some highlights, and I think this would have been a highlight if this was in one of them. But now they stick them in their own little mini series, while their regular series sort of languish. So
I know, and that's really what's been going on lately. We haven't been reading the series with these characters lately. So yeah, this has been good. What'd you give this?
Yeah, I give it a 3.75. It's good stuff.
Agreed. Yeah, 3.75 out of 5. Next up, we got Exquisite Corpses #8. Look at this, Chris. I'm producing art. I got the I got the names scrolling across, coming in clutch in the last minute. By the way, guys, I had nothing prepared at the start of this. I was just having Chris wait. All right, hold on, man. I gotta load up all these things. Doing it on the fly. What's that line that what's his name? The newscaster says, "We're doing it in post" or whatever. You never seen that?
Yeah, that smart. We're doing it live.
Yeah, we're doing it live. Yeah. All right, but anyways, go on, Chris. Exquisite Corpses #8.
Yeah, I've been enjoying this series. This one, I don't know if they're just kind of taking a breath here. The characters that were involved, that they focused on, I didn't really have much of a connection with them. There's a bit of I think the beginning of the issue was sort of what's going on in the party that's watching it. It seems like this old lady's got something up her sleeve, and then the characters that they went into that they're following. The only one that I kind of really caught my attention was that there was some girl there that was, just kind of scrounging in the fields or something, and then one of the guys come after her, and she just takes an axe to her head, and it seems like one of the other killers are watching, and then she just comments, "Oh, that's." It's the first victim of war is, when innocence is lost and blah, blah, blah. But that other story with the cop or maybe the army guy that's got shot, and then there's the medic. I think they spent way too much time on that. And, and when I went to the bracket at the end, I didn't really know who died or if any of the main players were taken off the board yet. So
this guy,
not my favorite issue.
Yeah, I this is definitely them taking a breath and kind of stringing stuff together that had been left like on the table. I think because we're about 2/3 of the way through here at this point. And I think they've been doing a good job, but we are having different writers and different artists come in on every issue, right? So, but that whole thing, like you said, that guy that got taken out, that gave his gun over, I guess, to the medic person who was also ex-army as a medic, which I guess we didn't know up to this point. The lone gunman, that's the guy who basically gives his gun over to that girl. And he kind of was like, wear my mask and pretend like you're me in this. But and then like the old woman that we've been seeing in this party of rich people that have like money, have interest in these guys. That was her player, I guess, that got taken out. And she's really pissed at the end of this issue, it seems like. Also, the what's this guy? This guy was Pretty Boy, who's not so pretty anymore. He was the guy.
Yeah, he was good. He had some good scenes in there where he realized he's not so pretty, and everybody's going, and he just flips out. So,
well, he was the one that was kind of trying to hit on that one who had her face all melted, like at one part, like the something Blaze or whatever. What's her name here? I'm just looking at. Layla Blaze, and she blew herself up last day. That's why he's like this, because he was persistent, and I guess she wasn't really feeling him, and she ended up something ended up happening, and she exploded it. Something exploded, and he ended up getting all fucked up. I do want to point out though, Chris, looking at the chart by the end of this issue, Rascal Randy's still in the mix, and we haven't seen him other than that one time where he came out and saved that kid, and then he got the Fox Mask Killer is still around. Recluse, I don't know who the hell that is. I can't remember. Is that the person with all the strings? Like it's got like wires or something? I think that's who that is. Pretty Boy is still alive, and this Lady Carolina, who was, I think she was like a woman like that wears like a horse outfit, like one that's like a fancy rich lady who's got like a shotgun or a rifle or something like that. So I mean, I'm going for Rascal Randy to win it all. I think Fox Mask Killer though is like the standout character of the series. It seems to be like the most interesting looking that fans have responded to from what I've been seeing. So
but even still, when they wrote this though, nobody they had no idea who's going to kind of connect. Yeah, I'm sure they had an idea, but we'll see.
I'm still
I'm still down for this. I'm not saying this is a bad comic. I'm just saying this wasn't one of my favorite issues of the series, which has been great.
I agree. No, I agree with you. What'd you give this?
I'll give it a 3.75.
Yeah, I think you're right. 3.75 out of 5. And then G.I. Joe number 16 is the next one here. Continuing the Dreadnought War. I got my issue here.
Oh, I hear what Cobra Commander. He's tied to the stake, and he looks like he's in the middle of the freaking Mad Max desert. They're ready to freaking just to burn him. I don't know. Of course, they never just kill him outright. They got to have some party going on there, and Duke's trying to plead for almost his life and to save Cobra, telling him not to kill Cobra Commander because he got he's got information that he needs. And then for some unknown reason, I guess the Ripper, he decides to challenge Duke, and if Duke beats him or something, he'll let him I guess question Cobra Commander before he kills him. And I think that was sort of a ruse there. And then by the end of it, the Joe show up, and they kind of just walk into it's a hornet's nest there, and they're not really well prepared, but they do the job, and they save Duke, and they're ready to peel out. And Duke's like, "Whoa, hold on! This might be your only chance to get Cobra Commander." You think Cobra Commander's in dire straits there, but by the end of this, looks like he's ready to shake, rattle, and roll. He's got the chainsaw going, and the dreadnought's bearing down on him. So it's what happened. It moves the story forward well. I think they spent a lot of time in here where everything was moving pretty quick before. So I'm looking forward to the next issue, though.
Yeah, this has been really great so far. I think this event is actually what this book, I guess, needed, which I normally wouldn't say about like events within the books because, so many of them don't work, or these crossover things don't work. But this actually kind of gave it a jolt, the series. And I think like coming out every couple of weeks, they've kind of kept up the pace and excitement of the storyline. I think Cobra Commander has come off really cool in this storyline. Yeah. He's a badass in this. I gotta say,
or even what's that, General Hawk or Colonel Hawk or whatever. Yeah. When he's talking with Destro, Destro like kind of calls his goon and says, "Hey, take care of Colonel Hawk." And I think he's done, and then freaking Colonel Hawk fucking just pow, gives him some sort of roundhouse and escapes there, and he's kind of, I still got it. Still got it. Takes off. So that was a nice scene there too.
Yeah. So what'd you give this?
Now that I'm talking, I'm gonna give it a 3.75. I was sitting on a 3.5 there for a bit, but there are some good things that happen here. And that freaking road pig, does he get zapped?
Yeah,
or something? Yeah. I did like it when the dreadnoughts fire up their with the thunder machine they got there, and I don't know what they're planning on doing with it. They just seem to release the energon into the sky, and whether they're gonna freaking like just cause lightning, just random lightning everywhere.
Yeah, these guys are ridiculous. These dudes are like, because they're like hillbillies, right? Like, so like, I don't know what they're like.
That's it. They just want to party and have money. I think that's their line in there.
Yeah, I also give this a 3.75 out of 5. I've been quite enjoying this. It's been good. Harley Quinn versus Elvira, or ex Elvira, number 3. Don't got the art for this one, but Chris, you mentioned you read this week as well.
Yeah, I know you're talking about it before, so I thought I'd give it a read, and I think this is okay. This gets Harley where she should be, compared to where the Harley Quinn comic is. She can be raunchy, it's funny. You got Power Girl in there in the mix, and she's sort of like the straight man, or the straight person in this. Just trying to get things done, and Harley's just freaking wacky as ever. She's trying to tell her stories, and she's embellishing things and all this other stuff. And I don't know how Elvira fits in here, but she does. And I don't know what's going on here, but it's a fun story to read, even if you just jump in out of the blue.
Yeah, it's like you said, this is the good version of Harley, and that's because it's Jimmy Palmiotti and Amanda Connor's version. They basically kept the same version from the run. The last time a Harley book was really good, in my opinion, from DC was when the New 52 launched, and they were on that title for a few years, all the way into Rebirth. I think they did go into Rebirth era, I think, with that, if I'm not mistaken. It went on for a while, and then I feel like during Rebirth when they left, that's when it kind of went off the rails for the series. Yeah. And I don't feel like it's ever found its footing to the place that it was when which is again really cool that years later they, I guess, wanted to do this book because they like Elvira, and Palmiotti and Amanda Connor have always kind of been into writing doing this cheesecakey stuff, doing these kind of sexual innuendo type jokes and stuff, even in their Harley run. So it makes sense that these two characters would be together in terms of just the tone, right? Like that they bring to the Harley stuff, I feel like. It's been a lot of fun. You got a few pages from Amanda Connor every issue, not a lot, like by like one or two. I think there was 2 pages in this that she drew, but it's been fun. It's been an all right little mini series. What'd you give this?
Yeah, I'll give this 3.75 as well. I think it's better than average.
Yeah, I agree. 3.75 out of 5. All right. First DCKO book here this week, Harley Quinn versus Zatanna #1, which I guess in the reading order, this one actually comes second, but we'll talk about Teen Titans later.
Yeah, round 5, where Teen Titans is round 4.
I got the David Nakayama cover for this one.
I just went for the 8 cover here. I was kind of looking forward to this. And I think this was okay, but I was hoping for some freaking real drag 'em out battles here. None of this, we're friends or we're teammates and sort of stuff like that. And I think we got a bit of that in here where, Harley's just trying to bring out the inner warrior of Zatanna so she can fight and win it all for everybody. So, the way the fights were going, I think one was sort of in Zatanna's mind or one was in Harley's mind. I was hoping for some, I don't want to say better art, but, like if this was like a Dan Morris style or a freaking...
Oh, I like the
a Jorge Jimenez style for these, because you just never see Harley freaking done up. It's always cartoony. So I was just hoping, maybe get a chance to see something else. But otherwise, I've been enjoying this KO stuff, and it seems now whenever they win their fights, it's almost like the darkness grows inside them or something. And we talk about the solicitations later on. It seems that might be a theme that carries on. But for where it is right now, I don't regret getting this comic. I enjoyed reading it.
Yeah, this one was all right. I do like the Mirka Andolfo art. It's definitely more cartoony. I like her stuff though, but the problem with this was, and maybe editors could have fixed this issue, is that this book came out the same week and it had similar outcomes where their opponents were basically just trying to amp the other person up essentially to move on.
Well, yeah, we're going to talk about that when we read the Titans, because
right. So that's kind of like the same vibe that you got in both these comics, like the way that this played out between these characters.
Yeah.
In both cases, well, maybe not so much in the other one, but in this case, clearly Harley should be losing this, in my opinion. I hate when people overpower the character. Listen, I don't think she's useless. She can hold her own, but it is, it's Zatanna, right? She's she can just basically I just don't think this is a fair pairing. But and then I read sometimes things based on the popularity of Harley Quinn as a character where they've greatly overpowered her, or she she's going toe to toe with certain characters where I'm like, this would never fly. But that's just comic book nerd type shit in me, I guess, where I'm just like, come on, give me a break. But in terms of the KO kind of matchups, this was, fun like all the rest have been. It was fine, but I've read better matchups so far. I'll say that. This one was just okay compared to some of the others. What'd you give this?
I got a 3.5.
Yeah. Next up, we got the first of our, I guess, X-Men Revelation ones here. The last Wolverine #3. Yeah.
Been enjoying this one here, and freaking the end of this just killed it for me. It was what Heather Hudson was tricking Wolverine, or not Wolverine, I guess whatever, the Wendigo and Nightcrawler to kind of sort of go on a rescue mission, and her idea of rescuing Wolverine was to kill him. And of course, once the Wendigo and finds out about that, he's like, oh no, Wolverine, he brought me back from the darkness, I can do that to him. And whatever mind control he was under there, he seemed to snap out of it pretty quickly when you get your arm chopped off, and then he got it, and then he was out of it. It's like, come on. And then I think what's her name? Didn't Heather Hudson have to basically sacrifice herself to hold off the Seraphims or the choristers as they try and come for Wolverine and the Wendigo, and he pushes Wolverine off the ledge or off the top of the building, which kind of harkens back, I guess, to the first issue where Wolverine did that to him. I don't know. I guess it's just puts Wolverine on the table for the final battle, and he better be in there, because if not, then this was just for nothing.
Yeah, it did kind of set up, it seems, the conclusion that we're about to get in that finale of this this Age of Revelation books. But I agree with you. It kind of fell flat a little bit here at the end. It's definitely still one of the more enjoyable miniseries, I'll say, that we've read. It was good. It was decent. But,
Wolverine's getting brainwashed too many times.
Well, yeah, that's
all they can seem to do to him.
That's not even just in this. Yeah, you're right.
I mean, like in everything. Like,
no, that's a common.
Some series going on. Oh, what happened? Oh, Wolverine's brainwashed. Of course, he's going to come back. He always does.
That's a common complaint from fans about the character. Absolutely, yeah. So, what'd you give this?
3.25.
Yeah, I agree. Next up, Omega Kids #3.
So I guess they've been building up these Omega Kids, and it looks like they've been kind of running around Quentin Quire and playing him. It's kind of nice to read the story, how they were playing him, and the stuff you never knew if where he was living was true, and then the backstory of all the rebels kind of try to get together, and the way they have to plan to do things and try and keep the Omega Kids out of their mind. That was an interesting concepts in here. And they kind of get there. I think they have the gun almost set and ready to shoot Doug Ramsey or Revelation. And then, things go to shit. I did like Rachel coming in, or Rachel Summers. I liked her inclusion in the story. And just the final ending there was once Quentin Quire, where he just, these kids think they're all hot shit on a silver platter. And then he's like, look, kids, you're just freaking kids. I'm freaking an Omega here. And he just wipes them out like they're nothing.
Well, no, at first he's like, oh, yeah, we're going to forgive you guys. We'll figure it out. Don't worry. Like, because they're kids, right? And then he's like,
then the one other thing there's, I'm so happy they're working together. And, Rachel's like, they're doing this to you, goes, I know, but I thought as a teacher, I wasn't getting through to them, but
I'm so proud of them.
They're putting all my lessons together. Unfortunately, they're doing it to me, but I'm just happy they're working together. But then he just wipes them out, calls Revelation. Yeah, we're gonna have to find some new kids.
Well, I agree. That's the best part of the series is the end. It's kind of fucked up, the ending. I liked it. The fact that they ended on that note again. I'm sticking to my word on this. This is still one of the best out of the bunch that we got.
It's not the best ending.
Yeah.
It's not like, Quentin Quire's like, oh my God, I was forcing kids to kill people. The Revelation is so bad. He's still down on the Revelation side. He just calls them up, go, yeah, we're going to find some new kids. These ones didn't work out. I'll train them better next time.
Yep. Yeah, no, I really enjoyed this. I thought the whole way through, I really enjoyed this. This may be my favorite out of the bunch, honestly. And like you said, the way that they ended it made it worthwhile, because again, none of this really matters. And this is one of the only books that was like, he stuck to that idea at the end where they're just like, yeah, who cares? Let's just kill these kids.
Yeah.
Like, whoa. I was surprised about that. I was like, and
he killed them all in point blank. Like it's like, well, look at the flower, kids.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Good stuff. I liked it. What'd you give this?
I'll give this one a 3.75.
Yeah. Agreed. And you know what? I give the whole mini-series on this one 3.75, even maybe a 4. It's probably my favorite one, honestly. I did dig it.
That's a low bar, though.
Yeah, I might be overhyping it a bit, but because of that reason, yeah. Next up, Planet She-Hulk #2.
Yeah, it's like, I love the art in this. I love the She-Hulk, but I don't really care what's going on in this Scar world.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only thing, and now it's like some whole, battle for the leadership of the planet. And then of course there's the blacksmith that doesn't want the power, but he has the power of the people behind him. And the corporate leader, that Corvin, whatever his name is, he wants the power. He's been leading the armies. So it's it's got a bit of a Game of Thrones feel to it, but with none of the intensity, none of the intrigue, and I guess. But it's got She-Hulk, so I don't think I'll be buying any more of this, but I'll definitely keep on reading it.
I've been reading it, and I agree. I really like the Aaron Cooter art. I think he's still the artist on this, and you said it. The problem with this is, in my opinion, like you got like a book like Skinbreaker, where like we're learning about their society and their ways and their people and the tribes and all that. You kind of got a similar thing like going on with this Scar like planet, like we're trying, and they're really focusing on the characters in this book. But it's almost like She-Hulk is not even important in her own title in that sense.
Yeah, she shouldn't even be in this book. It should just be all about them.
And then there's like a moment where at the end where she like comes and she tries to like advocate for one of the guys, and then she like mispronounces his name.
That was a funny line. I stand with Quad. It's Quinn.
Yeah. I liked that moment, but it like in the moment though, I'm just like, wow, like we literally focused on like almost everybody else in this book to like get this storyline going. And you know what it's, I mean, like I don't think it's bad, but like She-Hulk is not even the star in her own title in this one. Yeah. It seems like it is more about the planet like of Scar, right? So, or Sakaar or whatever. So like, and Planet Hulk was like that too. Like they did build up a bunch of characters in that storyline as well, and that was what was good about it. But Hulk still had a lot of great moments in it, where I feel like since it's already been done, that storyline, having She-Hulk in this situation and not even like the main focus, I don't know. It's just not, that part of it's not really working for me so much. Like,
I think like she doesn't need to be in this comic. Like, not that I'm saying this is a great comic.
No,
but it's like like without that line there, I'm interested to see. Looks like she's got some villain that shows up, or somebody that shows up at the end of this one that she's gonna have to fight. That might be fun to see, but she really doesn't have any freaking skin in this game, So, like, she just wants to get out of there, and
well, that's what I mean. This could almost just be another book, like that's like a creator-owned title, honestly, and just take She-Hulk out of it. That's why I kind of compared it to Skinbreaker, because when I was reading this, it kind of reminded me of that in the sense that we're really focusing on the ways of these people and like their planet and this kind of stuff. And you have a book like that, where it's the same kind of thing where we're like learning about these orc characters and all that kind of stuff, but but then instead in this, you just have She-Hulk sprinkled in. So
like She-Hulk was in Skinbreakers, and just putting an odd joke in there every once in a while. And
I did like that joke. I stand with Quad. It's great. But thank you. What'd you give this?
I got a 3.5.
Yeah, agreed. 3.5 out of 5. Next up, Radioactive Spider-Man #3. I think this one's all you. I didn't read this.
Yeah, so whatever, we got Aunt May, she's been mutated by the X virus, and basically freaking just turns into some sort of energy kaiju or bomb or something. And you got Miles and you got Gwen Stacy there in the last issue. Just seeing Gwen Stacy there kind of set her off. And I think somehow she calms down in here, but basically Miles and everybody's telling Peter, it's like, you got to turn her off. There's, you're risking the lives of the whole city for the life of one person, that's pretty much dead. I think they have some flashback scenes where Aunt May is basically kind of telling Peter, you got to live your life. You can't do things for me. Like, the story of the issue it's good. It's Peter having to come to terms that that Aunt May's going to die. And he might have to be the one that has to put her down. But it's wasted in this story. Like it's a very, like, if you're following the Spider-Man, it's like, wow, this is, you don't see this very often. But they're just blowing it in some like baloney radioactive Spider-Man story. They could have saved this story for, if they ever decide to kill Aunt May, but maybe that's why they just put it here, because they know they're never going to kill her.
Right.
So, might as well put it here. We don't care if we waste a kind of a really, a moral dilemma for Peter Parker.
Right.
Where, it's either you save the city or you save your aunt, and you can't have one, or you can't have both. It's either one or the other. And, of course, here, I think he does put her down. I forget how it ends, but this radioactive Spider-Man was just a crazy a crazy story here. I don't know how this was selling, but it could have been great. I'd give it it's a 3.5. This and the series itself, 3.25.
Okay.
Nothing good about this.
Yeah, I read the first issue and I bailed.
Yeah.
Similarly with this one here, so I commend you for finishing out the series, Chris. Rogue Storm number
Yeah,
3.
Rogue Storm. This one was even worse because I don't really care about these characters. I think this goes into what really happened to Storm. You know, there was some, I don't know, some spirit that was chasing her, and I guess she possessed Storm, and that's kind of who was out there doing all these bad things. And Storm was sort of chased down, and you had these Storm engines, what all this stuff that Rogue was coming out after her. This was just the wackiest three, not even wacky, just not good. You know, this Rogue, first to start with that Rogue Red and Rogue Green splitting up. And, that's just crazy to begin with. Like, she can't put on a freaking green costume. Like, they got to give these people, like, their names on the color of the clothes they wear. Like they can't change their clothes. But anyways, I don't know. It goes into all this, the kind of the whole history between Storm and that spirit. I don't really know how freaking Rogue or how their team wins. But basically, the end of this is that Storm has to go into some freaking else world or some magical world to battle that witch that was chasing her, and she sacrifices herself for that. And that leaves Rogue Red out there in the middle of nowhere. And then Gambit shows up, and then she tells Gambit about the trauma that she had about being sort of left out because Gambit decided to be with Rogue Green, and I don't know. Then they start talking. He starts talking Louisiana, and she starts talking wherever she's from. And I don't know what. Oh, my share is I can't even do it. It's just crazy. Like I'd give it. It's a 2.75.
Whoa.
Brutal.
Oh, sounds like it.
Yeah, you didn't miss anything there.
Next up, I got Superman Kryptonite Spectrum number 5, which I think I read. So overall, this series wasn't bad. It definitely was fun and experimental in the way that these creators are the same artist and writer, W. Maxwell Prince and Martin Morazzo are in their popular Ice Cream Man series. And this was kind of basically them bringing that to their own Superman story, like their own DC gig. And every issue was different. It approached the story different because of like the different type of kryptonite. It definitely tried to kind of feel like a throwbacky, almost like wacky Golden Age type story as well. Like at times similar to like what Mark Waid tries to do in Superman World's Finest, but maybe weirder. Last issue was my favorite issue. I think it was even my favorite of the week when it came out. It was my favorite issue of the mini series. The ending wasn't bad, but it wasn't like I wish it was better. I was a little underwhelmed, I'll say. It wasn't a bad wrap up, but basically he ends up fighting, which, where we left off in the last issue, like Lex Luthor made this like Luthor that's like made up of all the different kryptonites essentially that he used that Superman was testing on himself one every issue. And he almost gets taken out and like he almost dies. And then there's like a bunch of homage type moments. Like he basically calls upon his fifth dimensional imp elf like kind of character, like a Mr. Mixoplick that it was called Cal Elf, which they introduced earlier in the series, maybe even in last issue, which was a lot of fun. And then there's a page where it looks like All-Star Superman, like the cover by Frank Quietly, and then even says like the artist wrote like after Quietly, like with his signature at the bottom. Like you could just tell it's like him ripping off the cover, like a pose of the page, like the way he drew it. So there's like some fun stuff like that in this. But then it's such a wacky, weird ending. I don't know how I felt about it. Basically, like, he's dying. He gets exposed to all these kryptonites at once, and then he has all these blemishes all over his body, and he's dying of, like, I guess, like, the kryptonite poisoning of all, like, the exposure that he's suffered at the hands of Lex Luthor. And then basically, Batman, like, they throw together some sort of, like, some invention or like some sort of like device that he makes or has handy, and like he whispers something in Lois's ear about how he can possibly save him, and they're like, well, you know, what other choice do we have? And then you see him zap him with this ray, and then it cuts to Luther in jail or on trial. Like, I guess he went to jail for what he did, and he's talking shit about Superman. He's like, where is he now? And it appears that, you know, he's gone. He died. We don't know what happened to him. And then you see like all these people at the end caring for a baby, and they basically turn Superman back into a baby, essentially, to save him. So he's like, there's somebody like changing his diaper or something at the end. It's just really weird. It was kind of funny, but I was just like, wow, okay, I did not expect it to go that way. So it kind of left me scratching my head at the end of it. I was like, well, that was strange. But hey, I'll give it this. It was original. I've never seen that before. Maybe that was done in a Superman comic at some point in the past, in like the 60s. I don't know, but it was very strange. And it was like almost like we had to bring him back to an infant so he can like survive this disease, and then he's gonna grow up to be Superman again, essentially. But because he has got like a little cape on and stuff, and he's like, you could tell like he's still Superman, like he has the power, I guess, of Superman, but he's empty. So it's very strange. Yeah, here I'm just gonna jump ahead here to the page. Yeah, there he is. I don't know, just very strange. You know what though? I didn't hate it. I'll give it 3.75 out of 5. It wasn't bad. Overall, the miniseries, I'd probably give the same thing. It definitely had like some issues that were better than others. Like it was, you know, it wasn't like straight through every issue was a banger, but the ones that were good were really good. So I had some fun with this series. Next up, The Sacrificers 18, Chris.
Oof. Yeah, this story, I don't know, it's got some legs. Things are going crazy in this one now. I think it jumps, 30 years in the future here?
Yeah.
And I guess Pigeon and Soluna, you know, I think the last issue they killed all the gods or everything, and whatever they did, it did not seem to work out for the people there. They may be free, but they are living a tough life. And it seems like that Soluna has to go there and be the sun and the moon to try and get this world to grow, and it's just not working. There's no rain, and I think if she doesn't be the moon, then the tides won't flow, and then whatever, the oceans of the earth will die. Everybody's freaking dying, and then Pigeon's sister Beatrice, she's kind of, you know, she's on the floor, she's on the, you know, in the front lines there watching everybody die, and then she goes up to Pigeon, goes, you know, I don't know what you guys are doing. You know, he thinks he's got some plan that just needs a few days to come to fruition. And then she's just going on him like, you know, I think with those gods there, you know, we have to sacrifice our kids, but at least there's only one. Here you're sacrificing the whole world. It doesn't seem to be like it's working out. So, oof. There's some very dark themes in this one here.
Fucking Rick Remender. Yeah, man. You write a bleak ass story. Honestly, the moral of the story is in this one so far is the grass is always greener, man. Like it was one of those things where like there's like, yeah, thanks a lot, Dad, for killing all the gods. Now we're like, here's people starving to death.
Yeah, now everybody's dying.
Their life was so dependent on what they gave them that to the point, the sick twist of it is they're like, yeah, all we had to do is sacrifice a kid every now and then.
That's not so bad considering.
Yeah. It's so twisted. Yeah, this series, like you said it before, every time you're like, yeah, this is a good series, or like you forget about it, it comes back with this like crazy issue of like what the hell is going on in this story. And that the last couple of issues have done that because we've been jumping ahead within the time of the storyline. I think there's only 4 issues to go, and I don't know where he's going to take this, honestly, but it's still great. It's a great.
Like you think after he defeats the god, okay, fuck it, everything's gonna be great in the world, and it's not just worse. It's like 10 times worse.
Yeah, I literally and then like but again, he's like morally, he's like, I did the right thing, right? Like this was wrong. Like I did the right thing. Like he's trying to convince himself, and Salute, like she's like she's like,
Yeah, she's like, I've had enough too. I can't do this anymore.
She's drained, like she's dying. She's giving it her all. Like she can't.
Well, yeah, and then the thing about, well, maybe you can get your kids to do this. He goes, I did this all for my kids so they don't have to carry this burden.
Right.
And now you're asking me to sacrifice my kids for the world.
And then it's like, what was it all for? Like, it's so terrible. It's like, oh my God. I know it's crazy. This was one of those books this week when I read it and I closed the book. I was like, Jesus. I'm like, what the hell was that? I was taken aback by it, quite frankly. It makes you think. Like, I was like, whoa, that was pretty messed up, right? Like, I was like, holy crap. Because, you know, they're sitting there like, they're like, did we make the right choice? I don't know.
Yeah.
Oh, man. So, yeah, great issue this week, honestly.
Another great issue, yeah. I think just for the story alone, that's got to be a 4.25.
I think the more we've talked about it, I might even bump it up
to
4.5. I think this was like the fact that they jumped ahead and they hit us with what happened here in this issue. I was just like it's one of the better issues in the series.
Like, this is a comic you got to talk to somebody about that's reading it, because when you read it on your own, it's like, what the heck is this? But then, like, just say, once you start talking about it, it's like, it's just so many crazy ideas in there that are just, you know, it's different from any comics that's going out there right now.
And I'm glad the ending is in sight. Like, we only have a few issues to go. So, yeah, I mean, hopefully it gets better for these guys. But right now, it doesn't look so hot, right?
I don't think so.
No, I don't think so either. All right, Thor number 5.
Yeah, so this Thor world, I guess Thor's in jail, and they're trying to figure out what's going on. And I'm not sure if this is like happening in the real world or like in the real kind of canon world, I guess, but it seems to be, because they do talk about Odin there, like how he was dead and now he's back, and Odin's talking with Loki. Like, they don't look like they're canonically themselves, I guess, or at least Loki doesn't. He's like some little imp or something. But you know, I guess a bit of the history, what happens with Odin, he's like, well, I left Asgard, or I left Valhalla, and he's like, and whatever. Loki's like, how'd you do that? He goes, I built Valhalla. You don't think I can leave it if I want to? Yeah. But with the condition that he can never go back, and he's you know, and he's not like the Odin god before. You know, he's just like a wise nomad now. It seems like he's just going to be roaming the universe. So you know, that's a big kind of piece or a big player that's out on the board now, if they ever decide to use it. And then the stuff with Thor that's going on, like, I don't know if he's ever going to become Thor. It doesn't sound like it. Like, it sounds like he's just some mortal guy. And then the stuff with Donald Blake, it's some interesting stuff in here. You know, because, you know, they do touch on stuff that, you know, I think in some of the previous Thor stuff where Donald Blake was basically imprisoned in Asgard after his identity was almost sort of erased when Odin kind of set him and Thor together. That's some crazy stuff going on here too. It's an interesting read, but for like how Thor fits into this, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, we've been talking about this a lot on the show lately, how they've basically reshuffled the deck chairs here, how Doctor Strange is like what you would expect from a Thor book now. This is like a very strange, outside of the norm type Thor book that's going on right now. You got the Hulk that's very different than what it normally is at the moment. Yeah, I'm kind of in between how my feelings on this one. It's not bad, but again, it's just such a weird shift for the storyline. Oh yeah, and Donald Blake shows up in this, as you mentioned. Yeah, it's still kind of playing with all the elements of a Thor story and all the characters of a Thor story, but yet it doesn't feel or like read like a Thor story. So
yeah, like Thor or whatever, this Jorman Sigmundsson or whatever his name is. Like, basically, he's just a construction worker with a hammer tied to a bungee cord.
Yeah, it's not bad. It's
not bad, but there's so much going on around him.
Yeah, I
don't know how what the plan is for it, but it's got me interested. I'll say that.
Yeah, I am intrigued.
On reading it.
I'm intrigued. If I'm going to compare all those books that are outside the norm for characters at the moment, This is probably in the middle for me between like Hulk and Doctor Strange, and I guess Spider-Man's even not what you would expect from a Spider-Man book at the moment, but that one's higher up on the scale for me. I'm still intrigued though. I'll keep reading for the moment. What'd you give this?
Yeah, I'll keep reading this out. I'll give it 3.5 though still.
Yes, same. Yeah, I was going to say that as well. 3.5 out of 5. All right, next up, we got another DC KO tie-in here this week, Titans 30, which this is Cyborg versus Swamp Thing in this one.
Yeah, I'm sort of glad I read this second, because I would have been really groaning if I read this first. Because like you say, the first one there with Harley Quinn and Zatanna, basically Harley Quinn is trying to set up Zatanna to be stronger. And they had the same theme going on in this, where, I think it was a little bit more interesting there with the forms that Swamp or whatever, the Swamp Thing can take, because, he's got the power of the green behind him, and the stuff that Cyborg does. But basically at the end of this too, it's just the Swamp Thing saying, I'm just trying to get you ready for the battle that's ahead of you. So I was hoping for more, like, some more out of these battles. Like, these battles have been I like the Superman Captain Atom battle was good, and I think so far it's been only the Lobo Wonder Woman where they're actually kind of fighting each other. These ones here were it's just people trying to, like you say, to empower the other one.
Yeah.
So I wasn't too keen on that.
It's kind of interesting too, because there's this scene where there's the girl that's in the robbing the Justice League miniseries, and they reference it, where I felt that was weird, because they kind of that last issue hasn't come out yet, so they're basically referencing what she did and that she's still okay and she's here on the Watchtower after. So I'm like, well, that was kind of shitty, because I'm like, we haven't even seen the ending of that series. Why are they showing her like in this moment, basically letting you know that she's fine and here she is with the I was just like, okay, like
it's not like there's some key DC character. Like, if you left her out of it, nobody would none the wiser,
That's what I mean. I just felt that was unnecessary, especially for the readers of that miniseries with one issue left to go. Maybe they anticipated that was going to be done at this point. Maybe it was delayed. I don't know, but it's those type of things I really hate, when they kind of like spoil things in terms of like the timing of when the issues are released, right? I mean, again, they didn't really tell us too much, but like the fact that they're referencing it and she's there, you already know that it seems like nothing was affected by the end of this miniseries, right? I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah, I thought the only interesting thing I thought about this was, like, it did shock me for a moment when you open up the issue and Swamp Thing gets taken out within like 2 pages. I was like, what the hell?
I thought Swamp Thing would freaking just wipe the floor with them. But
same. But then there, like you said, I think he could have, but then there was this whole like empowerment thing where he's just basically like, I wanted you to bring it to this place so you don't take this so you take it seriously. Now carry on, my friend. Or you know what I mean? Like,
but like, the Swamp Thing had so many good lines in there. It goes, you don't think I'm going to defend the Earth? I am the Earth.
Yeah. And Swamp Thing has so many cool. I mean, actually, to be fair, they both had so many cool versions of themselves.
Yeah,
like even Cyborg, like he had like when he was in that room where it like surrounded all the different versions of himself, past, future, and present. He was talking about. I was like, okay, that's pretty cool. And then like the Swamp Thing that comes, that's basically just like he just eats him, and then he injects him with like some sort of like toxin or something like that. That was pretty badass too. There were some cool moments in this. I do like that they're having fun with it in that respect, but the stakes just don't feel real enough in these matchups, unfortunately, right? They're just like whatever, right? But they're fun. What'd you give this?
I'll give it I'll bump it up to a 3.75. It is still some good stuff to see these characters fighting. And, you did bring up some good points in there. But I guess someone has to lose. That's the problem.
Yeah, you know what? I think did we give 3.5 to the Harley Quinn versus Zatanna? I think I did for the art. I'm okay with going 3.75 on this. I did like certain moments of it. I just wish that the outcome was a little different, but here we are. It is a Titans book, so I guess it makes sense Cyborg won, right? So Wonder Woman 28, Chris.
Oh, I don't know. If anybody has some problems with the story, it's still fun to read. At least this Mouse Man stuff is over. But what they're trying to set up for, And if this is supposed to be like an actual future with this matriarch, I don't know. I like, I thought she was a good character when she kind of showed up, but once you have her kind of wiping out all the heroes of DC, and this is supposed to be actually what happens, and now we have her here in the future, in some Coliseum, sort of reenacting the basically whatever the first 6 or 12 issues of this Wonder Woman run. I don't know if this is supposed to get you hyped for this Wonder Woman war. But I don't know. I think they're reaching way too far, giving this matriarch, with too much credibility in this. If she was like, maybe in Themyscira is kind of, taking over things. Okay, I can believe that. But you're not wiping out every hero in freaking DC, and you're just the queen of the world there. But otherwise, I do kind of like how they wrapped it up there with, Wonder Woman just kind of laying the law down to this mouse man, and say, hey, I can send you back to the people. Whatever they decide to do, or I can take you back to Themyscira, and let me tell you, we're not going to be fucking so nice. And I guess he realizes his plan there. And I do like this stuff with Batman and Superman, kind of, really not being on board with what Wonder Woman did. And she's basically like, they're kind of, there could be consequences, and she's like quoting poetry to them, which is like almost like a big middle finger to them. Go, hey, stay out of my business. I'm Wonder Woman. I've been around for a long time, and look at you, Clark. You're just new to this world. Whatever, 60 years ago, Batman, you're just a mortal. I've been running stuff for a long time. Don't worry about me.
Yeah, and then she gets inside of her invisible jet.
Yeah, like the thing, something was kind of wacky when the kid was just kind of sitting up there, and she's just kind of standing in the air. Then you realize, oh, she's getting in the invisible jet.
Yeah,
so I didn't mind those scenes, but
yeah, you know what? I just really lost a lot of interest in this series. Unfortunately, we always talk about certain storylines getting a little long in the tooth on this show, and this is definitely one that did that for me. And but it's because I feel like this whole series has been like that, and I know that's been a complaint by some folks about Tom King's writing, and it's never been, at least for me, more apparent that it has been in this series. It's been a real problem because you keep throughout the run, though, we've kept getting glimpses of really good moments, really good art. It's been a decent series, but it's just not being consistent where I can like easily recommend it. You know what I mean? Like out the gate, like it's a
slow slide down. Like it's a really like gentle slope, but it is sloping downwards.
Yeah.
Like the trade waiting. This is like omnibus waiting or something. You can't even, even if you read these trades,
no, you're
it
right.
doesn't seem like there's no conclusion at the end. You got to wait for this whole story to finish.
That's exactly right. And reading this in issues has been painstakingly like difficult, like because because like you said, if you're not going to be satisfied with the pacing or the way the story goes within even a trade or two, you're certainly not going to feel that way going month to month on it. And so this is a tough sell. It really is. But like, I will say, though, there has been genuinely good moments that have kept us coming back, but I dropped it in issues now for that reason. Like, I still read it. And now, like, I think next issue, it's a different writer on the book. And
I think it's only for 2 issues, and then they're coming back. I think they're
the Wonder
We'll talk about it in the solicitations.
Yeah, the Wonder War is coming.
I think for March. So then I think he's back in business for a while.
All right. Well, I might be back on for that if it's an interesting storyline. I just think this needs like a jolt, like a bit of a excitement again, right? Because the best issues in this whole run have been the single story or 2-issue ones he did in between arcs. Remember, like when there was like Diana and Bruce, like were investigating a detective case in Themyscira. And then there was one during like one of those events that DC did a couple years ago that was really good. I remember with Damian and her, I think it was. Those issues have been excellent. Like I've really enjoyed that. The Trinity series has been a lot of fun that he did outside of this. That's what I mean. There's still some good stuff that Tom King has done with Wonder Woman. It's just not being every issue has been a banger in that sense. It hasn't been. So what'd you give this?
I would give it 3.5.
Yeah, 3.5 out of 5. All right, next up, Wrestle Heist number 1 from our boy Kyle Starks. There you go. What do you think of this, Chris?
Well, I just read this online. When I first started reading it, I was almost glad I didn't buy it. And then when I kind of read through the whole issue, I go, oh, well, there's something going on here. It kind of gives you a little bit of a, I don't know if Carl Starks has any sort of, background knowledge of what goes on in wrestling and things like that. But it did give you sort of a peek behind the curtain. There's a lot of talk, when I don't know what this wrestler's name is, this heel guy.
So hold on. I just wanted to reference something. So yeah, there's definitely nods to people in this book, Chris, that are definitely because Chris and me, we both enjoy wrestling enough to probably have noticed a lot of these people. So I'm interested to see like what you're like, who you thought was who in this book, because I wrote down who I thought like these people were, like his interpretation of them. Because
the people I noticed, I think there's a real Ultimate Warrior.
Yes.
I think the guy might even be Paul Heyman. I don't know.
This guy, the guy that fucks him over, is definitely Paul Heyman. And you could argue that like this guy is like a Brock Lesnar type character who fucks him up. This guy, and I think the main character is almost like a Ric Flair, because his name is like Party Boy instead of Nature Boy, right? Like I don't know, he's kind of Ric Flairish, kind of, but not really. But I think if it's loosely based on anybody, I thought it would be like him. But he's nothing like Ric Flair in terms of like outside of the ring, right? So
yeah, that's why I don't think there's any sort of Ric Flair anything, but there's one character I think they did really put on there that was the Ultimate Warrior.
Yeah, where he's like on the ring, where he's like on the ropes like this, like he's like
he's just always talking like crazy, and then he goes, I don't know, oh, he's great in the ring, but the problem is he'd go out, in real life and talk. Then they show him like ordering at like a McDonald's or something. He goes, oh, I have the hunger of 1,000 nations in me, and just going on. But anyways, other than that, like, the story that's going on there with, they get this wrestler kind of his fall from grace. He's about to leave the promotion for somewhere else that we're going to pay him better. And, he's kind of just going out there to do one last job. And then the promoter basically tells his wrestler to break his neck, and he does break his neck. And, he recovers from it. But of course, the classic line is, oh, one more bump like that, and you could be paralyzed, so basically you're never going to wrestle again. And then you kind of have him going on the con circuit there, and he meets up one of his buddies, and his buddies kind of say, hey, why don't you just join the con circuit and make lots of money here? But it seems like this guy has a bit of a plan there to, I don't know, it looks like basically rob WrestleMania or something, or whatever their big event is, their Fightsgiving or something that's coming up next.
This guy reminded me of Mark Henry, like the look of him, kind of almost like like just older, right? I don't know. Yeah. That's kind of what I got from him. He kind of looked like a little bit like Mark Henry-ish, this character.
Yeah, but it seems to be like it's going to take a different turn. I thought, there's just going to be some sort of kind of, following like some wrestler and, his fall from grace and his comeback, but this is going in a different direction, and I enjoy this. It was a good story.
Yeah, there is a heist involved, which I always enjoy. I do like those stories a lot. Yeah, this guy, like, he went to the bar with, like, I kind of like reminded me of like a Jacob Fatu type character, like the newer guy.
Yeah, it could be Ming.
Oh yeah.
Fatu, that's it.
Like
he's always got that story about, he was like, the toughest guy out there, and then I think they kind of do some nods to some of these wrestling stories that are out there.
Yeah, and then like there's like an Ultimate Warrior kind of character, and then like it looked like a Dusty Rhodes type character was in it at some point. I'm gonna be honest with you, half the fun for me was just kind of like seeing him kind of like, it seemed like interpret like different people, like wrestlers, without actually making it those wrestlers, but like maybe his own takes on certain character like wrestlers, and like that was the fun of it for me. Yeah, this is the Ultimate Warrior part here. Yeah, this is definitely Ultimate Warrior. But that was fun for me just as a fan of wrestling reading this. But behind it though, there is still like a fun little heist story involved. So I'm in. I'll definitely pick up the rest of this this series. I quite enjoyed it. But I think half the fun was based on the fact, for me at least, the wrestling references and the fact that and then at the back of the issue they had all these fun like excerpts, like it's like a wrestling scene, which I thought was really fun too. Like there's like lingo being used in the actual comic. Like clearly I think it seems like Kyle Stark's like a legitimate fan of wrestling, but he's also not overdoing it where like everything's like, hey, look who I'm trying to pretend this character is. Like that's again just me kind of reading into things a little bit. And sometimes
I think like you say, they're nods to people. It's not like he's trying to kind of parody them, you know what I mean?
Right. No, absolutely not. That's what I mean. That's why I kind of had a lot of fun with it, like in that regard. So yeah, and then like some of the people that he has here in this this survey wrestling question of the month, these are all like comic creators here, and a bunch of these comic creators I know for a fact are wrestling fans because I've heard them talk about wrestling. This Andy Belanger guy, is an actual wrestler. Like he wrestles like small time wrestler, but he also does that on the side. And a bunch of these other names here, like Brian Azzarello, Jim Rugg, like these are all people I know that are fans of wrestling. So that's kind of cool too that he just involved them all there. I'm sure that they're going to be doing like, maybe variants or something. Some of these artists, who knows? But I had some fun with this. I like Kyle Starks. He does good work.
Yeah.
What'd you give this?
I got a 4. It was a good read.
Yeah, agreed. 4 out of 5. And then X-Men Book of Revelation number 3, the last issue of this.
Yeah, I don't know. So this is basically the history of the origin of this. What was her name? Albeca or something. I think it's that little girl that's just been sort of, I guess, promoted to a chorister or a seraphim. And you find out that she's basically a spy from Araco that was sent there by Apocalypse. And I guess a bit of an interesting story here, but I'm already checked out of this whole story, unfortunately. If this was the only storyline going on, maybe it'd be more, I kind of give it higher marks or something, because it is, it's a fun little story about betrayal.
Yeah.
And, and then, what's like Revelation thinks he's on top of the story, he's figured it out, but then she's kind of saying, you think I'm the spy, that my job wasn't here to spy on you, my job was to plant a seed or something to open a door to Apocalypse. It's coming to an end. I'm just happy it's coming to an end. And they just try to explain a little bit too much here, that everybody knew what everybody else is doing, which, it just really didn't make sense because I wasn't really too keyed in on this whole story to begin with.
Yeah, I got nothing else to add. I agree with everything you said. But like you had mentioned there, it's not that this wasn't bad. It's just I've checked out, and I do think this was decent. Actually, I think the way that the story developed throughout was pretty good. I actually think it was maybe even better than the other side with the good guys, because the good guy one started out really strong, and then I kind of felt like it petered off. And it was just kind of setting the table for this showdown between these two characters there at the end, which kind of, it almost felt like they showed their hand too early. And like, I felt like we've been seeing back-to-back weeks where they're setting up this moment with Apocalypse and everything else. And here we are.
Apocalypse got here, because I think we've seen a few issues with this portal opening and Apocalypse walking through.
Yeah, and here we are once more before the finale.
Yeah, again, we see him again walking through.
Right, but I think like on its own, this wasn't bad. I just think it's like, between all the miniseries and everything else we've read here, and there's so many ones that weren't that great, that this kind of fell, a little flat too. So I don't know. What'd you give this?
Yeah, I give it a 3.5.
I'll give it 3.5.
But yeah, I just felt this whole thing, like all those series might have had like one beat to the story that you had to put in. So you had to read like freaking 27 comics to find out like 3 beats.
Yeah.
And really, they could have just put those beats in this whole same story. Like, I still have no idea how the X-Vengers are fitting into this. That's just, I don't know. Let it end.
Well, I think that's going to happen next week, actually, the last issues of that one. So wait to hear that in the new year, guys. Our thoughts on the finale of Age of Revelation.
Alert is not going to be good.
Youngblood number 2, Chris. Final book. It's all yours, buddy.
Oh, final book. Well, before I do that, I can think I did get some Youngblood comics there. I think I ordered this late, so I did get the A cover of Youngblood.
Nice.
And then we have some variant copies there.
I like that one a lot.
To the New Mutants 23.
Yeah.
And then we got our Young Blood 2.
I
Big fan of Rob Liefeld. I'll start out by saying that. And before I get into this comic, I do kind of look up all this stuff on YouTube, and I did run across, some guy that was just tearing apart Rob Liefeld's art. And there's like kind of 10 tropes that Rob Liefeld seems to follow. I shouldn't have watched that. Because after I saw that, it's like, holy smokes, it's all this stuff that he put on there, like these mushroom heads, like the hairstyles. It's always like,
Yep.
he doesn't like having hair on the sides of people's heads for whatever reason.
Yep.
And, just some other, there's some other nitpicking stuff, but some of the, maybe 2 or 3 of his points there kind of really hit home, once I started reading this comic.
Yeah.
All that aside, though, I still think this is a freaking great comic. This reminds me of a kid just playing with his toys, and he is just freaking having fun with them. I'm not sure who's in this sort of young blood world. I thought it'd just be more of this team kind of fighting whoever, some whatever, like some freaking Cobra or whatever the evil empire is of this world. But I have the Supremes or whoever they are, they're showing up, and I think at the end of this, there's some other team that's in the mix. I still think the art is great. He draws some good stuff, and he might not be the greatest story writer, but it's still a fun story, and he's not holding anything back. It's not like I'm trying to, I'm going to tease something here because I got something coming down, someone down the line, 4 issues in. I think he's putting everything out there in every issue, and I can respect that, and I think it's great.
Yeah.
And
go ahead.
Yeah, I give it a 3.75. This is no Frank Miller business, or this is no Dark Knight Returns, but it's an entertaining comic, and it's great to look at.
I was going to say one thing about Rob Liefeld that, I'm not the hugest fan of Rob Liefeld. I do find some of his stuff entertaining that I've seen online, but I mean of his art more so, like you said, for reasons. But that being said, like the guy does have a genuine love of comics. I'll give him that. Like you can tell, like it really is like you said, he puts a lot of like every time I hear him talk about comics, like it's not like a phoned in kind of like bullshit.
No.
Like no, he genuinely has a love and knowledge of comics and like an enthusiasm while talking about it, which I really do appreciate. So yeah, I mean, I'm glad you're enjoying it. It is interesting though. It's funny. My friend, a friend of mine also picked this up, and it was just funny. He's like, man, only Rob Liefeld, the variants are even drawn by him. I was like, he's like, yeah, like you said, like the ones that he's homaging his own classic covers with the New Mutants one. He's like, you gotta love it, man. Like he's like, he got like multiple covers because he's like, only this guy would do his own variants for the characters and then homage himself. He was just he's loving it, right? So it's good stuff. All right, so that's going to do it for this week of comics. Chris, what are you looking forward to checking out next week?
Okay, let's just try and bring it up here.
Which again, guys, we will be the December 24th and the 31st, which we won't be able to get into the shipping list for the 31st as of yet this early, but it will be probably a smaller week because that's the 5th week of the month. But the 24th and the 31st will be discussed on our first episode back in the new year. So we're going to be talking about 2 shipping weeks when that show does come out. So stay tuned. But go ahead, Chris.
Yeah, so for at least the week of December 24th, for Marvel, I'm looking at Amazing Spider-Man 18. I'll probably read this Will of Doom. I think there's a J. Scott Campbell cover if I can track it down. I'll probably read this Expatriate X-Men. I'm not sure what's going on with Cloak and Dagger. I'll read the X-Vengers. We have the Marvel Winter Break special. See what that's about. I think there's that Ivan Talaveri cover with She-Hulk. I'm looking forward to trying picking up. I'll see if that comes in or not. And I don't know if you want to do the 31st as well, because Marvel's got a big week for the 31st.
Oh, do they? Do you have the 31st there? You go ahead if you have it, yeah.
Yeah, for the 31st, I think I'll be reading the Ultimates 19. I think that's sort of picking up again. We have Ultimate Endgame, Punisher Red Band, Predator Kills the Marvel Universe #5. I think that might be the end of that. Sorcerer Supreme coming in. the Age of a Revelation finale. Let's see. There's Marvel Knights World to Come. I know you've been reading that, but I haven't read that. And that's about it for Marvel. And let's see, for DC next week, Absolute Wonder Woman 15. I think that's with the Batman coming in there. Absolute Superman 14. Superman 33. I'll be reading the Justice League. I think these are all KO tie-ins. Maybe even the Flash, there's a KO tie-in. And we're going to see the Joker versus Red Hood. Now, this better be a fucking throwdown between these two characters, because I think there's no love lost between them. Nobody's trying to empower anybody. One person is trying to put the other person down.
Yeah.
And let's see. That might be it for DC. It was Trinity, number 6. See what's going on with there. She's chasing around those dogs. And for the 31st, though, I don't think there's much coming out from DC. And Image, Void Rivals, Skinbreaker 4, Capes, Final Boss 2, Sisterhood. I know this Creep Show. I saw something. I think there's some like super Creep Show. Maybe that's in February or something, or March.
Okay.
That's looking pretty good. But yeah, that's it for. There's some blind bag that's going through that's coming out next week. In Image stocking stuff or blind bag for $20. I know that's all.
I didn't bother with that. Yeah.
And for the week of 31st, yeah, there's a bunch coming out for Image, but nothing I'm looking forward to. What are you looking at?
Okay, so for the 24th, December 24th, yeah, pretty big week. We got let's see here. Powers 25, number 4. I'll read that. Let's see. Absolute Superman number 14. I'll be reading that. Absolute Wonder Woman 15. I'll be picking that up. Yeah, I'll also be reading DCKO Red Hood versus Joker number 1. Detective Comics 1104. I'll be picking that up. Looks like Flash 28 is the DCKO crossover for that week, so I'll be a tie-in issue. I'll be reading that. What else here? Let's see here. Justice League Unlimited 14. I'll probably read that because it's probably also another tie-in, I'm assuming. Superman 33, same thing. That's got a storyline going on in it. That's part of KO. Trinity, number 6. Looking forward to the conclusion of that. So I'll be reading all those. And then Image. Yeah, nothing from IDW or anything like that. Creep Show, Final Boss 2. Let's see here. Capes I'll be picking up. And I think that's about it. Skinbreaker I'll be picking up. And Void Rivals I'll be picking up. And Marvel, like you said, a lot of the same stuff you were saying here. Amazing Spider-Man. What else we got here? Some of these X-Men books, Age of Revelation, the ones that are coming out, I guess the last one's X-Vengers, and I don't read Expatriate. Oh, Marvel Winter Break Special 2025 comes out. Yeah, like you said, Ivan Talavera cover. I think I pre-ordered that. Undeadpool, yeah, I'll definitely read. Will of Doom, looking forward to see what that's all about. I got a good cover for that one as well. X-Vengers number 3. Yeah, not too much. I guess Marvel's the heavy week is the next one. Let me see if I got the 31st here. Yeah, I do. Okay. I wasn't sure if it was out yet. So here we go. Anything else on the 31st? Dark Horse doesn't look like it. DC. I don't have anything listed for DC here yet.
Yeah, I don't have anything listed for DC either on the 31st.
Escape.
It's odd, but
yeah, Escape number 5 might be coming out. That's from Image. Marvel. Yeah, Marvel Knights World to Come. I've been reading that. I'll be checking that out. Predator Kills the Marvel Universe, like you mentioned. I'll also be reading. Punisher Red Band comes out. Be picking that up. I might read Sorcerer Supreme #1. I don't know. I'm intrigued,
Just
but
want to see what's happening, and if
yeah,
it's not something I'm down for, then
yeah.
not
Ultimate
read.
Endgame. We have blind bags for that one. I think I have 1 or 2 pre-ordered for Ultimate Endgame. Maybe at least 1. I think.
Are you getting blind bags? Well, I will talk about it later.
Yeah. And then the finale of X-Men Age of Revelation. Yeah. So an Ultimates 19. Yeah. So yeah, a lot of things ending to start off the new year, it looks like, and some things just continuing. So yeah, look forward to those episodes. That'll come out the first week of the new year. We'll be coming out with that episode for the next 2 weeks of comics. So look forward to that, and make sure to look forward to, once again, our Comic Shop Talk Awards episode that'll be coming out between Christmas and New Year's, where we highlight some of our favorite and not so favorite things here on the channel. A lot of fun to do those shows. All right, Chris. But speaking of favorites, what's your favorite book of this week?
I think I have to give the Captain America and it versus aliens. That ending there with Captain Marvel just showing up, that just hit me right in the feels.
Yeah, it's definitely my runner-up, and I really wanted to give it to it, but after our discussion, I think I got to give it to the Sacrificers #18. That one just really was impactful to this ending, how messed up it was, what's been going on in this book. So I agree, though, out of nowhere, and it could have very easily taken my favorite of the week as well. Aliens versus Captain America was great this week, honestly. Like, it really is like down to the wire for that one for me, because I really liked that a lot.
Like in that Alien versus Captain America, where those people died, like it seemed to be like impactful. In all these X-Men, whatever tie-ins, everybody seems to be dying in all of them. So there's no impact in any of those deaths that happen, or no impact in any of the sacrifices whoever the main characters had to make at the end of their 3-issue runs. It's just like you're expecting them in all of them. Like all of those stories, I say, except those Omega kids, almost had that same beat where there'd be 1 or 2 characters in the story that have to sacrifice themselves for everybody else in there, and it was just too much of the same thing, and all throughout whatever. You basically had 3 or 4 tie-ins running each week for 3-4 weeks. That's like 12. Holy smokes, man! If somebody wanted to buy this whole Age of Revelation run, it's going to be like freaking 50 comics.
I know,
for a baloney story.
I know. And this is why I think I'm out completely on X-Men now, like buying issues. Like, unless I'm buying it for the covers, I may not even want to discuss them on the show until they change up the teams on these books. Because it seems like they just keep rebranding the same titles with the same writers attached to them. Where I'm just like, what?
That's the worst.
I'm not getting fooled by it. It's just like, again, we got to fill the time on the show here. So sometimes we got to talk about something, right? But like, it's just like terrible stuff coming out in terms of the X-Men books lately. Anyways.
Well, I know. I've been watching Peacemaker. Did you watch the second season?
Great.
Oof. That is a good show. I'm at episode 8. Not my favorite, but episode 6 and 7, where you find out what's going on in that alternate world. Woo! That blew my mind.
The way that they ended that episode with them chasing the wolf. I'm just like, oh my God. Wow. Yeah, that realization, and then just her making fun of him for not realizing it.
Yeah, and then when you kind of point out everything that how did you not notice this?
There's a right over here.
I wasn't paying attention. What do you think? Like, I don't know if they just direct John Cena well, but this is a freaking role he was born to play. But even like when they have sort of dramatic stuff that he has to do, I think he does it well in there.
Yes. Yep. No, it's great. It's like, it's my favorite thing that he's done when he's been with the DC universe, James Gunn. Like, I know, not everyone loves Superman. I did really like his Suicide Squad, but this is definitely this came out of Suicide Squad. This is where that character showed up. So the fact that he spun out of that movie and made 2 seasons of the show, and I think they've been great, honestly. I agree.
I hope they do a third if they can figure out a good story. Like,
I think he said that they don't have any plans. He might show up somewhere else, but unfortunately, I think that's what he stated. I mean, like you said, he's going to continue playing the character, but I think he said that he might have plans to put him somewhere else now. So I don't know what that means. Yeah, I know. I wish he would continue, but we'll see. Now with this whole bye, who even knows about any of this shit anymore, right?
Yeah, sure, but that's just too bad because DC seems to be in such a good place right now.
Yeah,
compared to where they were like 3 or 4 years ago.
Well, when we started this show, they were not in a good place.
They were not in a good place.
Yeah. I agree. And now, like, here we are.
When we started, when World's Finest came out, we thought that's the best thing DC had put out there. Yes. And now it's with like that issue we have right now with, Lex Luthor, and Batman, Superman together. When they first merged, like, oh my God, this is the greatest thing happening. Yes. And now it's like, oh, wow, that's good. But there's so much better going on here. We can't, I don't even want to read this anymore. Like, at least that's what I'm feeling. Whereas.
And now I'm hearing, I just heard this announcement the other day, that they're throwing even crazier people into the DCKO crossover. There's wrestlers now in it. Did you hear about this? AEW?
Yeah, there's I don't know about that. You're going too far. I mean, you're good with your boss battles, bringing in, if you want to touch in all the, the Dynamite universe and Image or whatever, like maybe not Image people, but everything else outside of Image, bring them in there. But okay, enough with this AEW crossover. I think some of the people that got crossing over aren't even in AEW anymore. Yeah,
like Chris Jericho is like, hey, well, I think he's there right now, isn't he? I can't even keep track.
I think his contract's up, and there's rumors.
Right, he's gonna come back to. I heard. Yeah, he's coming back to WWE possibly. Yeah, so for his retire. Everyone's retiring now, right? Everyone wants a retirement run. It seems like.
Yeah, not crazy too.
Yeah. So anyways, but now we're getting into wrestling talk, but that's going to do it for this episode, guys. And our last Comic Shop Talk proper episode of the year. Once again, thank you to Chris. This is always a lot of fun.
Thank you, Niko.
Make sure to tune in, guys, for our year end episode. Essentially, we are going to be doing solicits, and we will be doing our best of the year episode with the Comic Shop. What did I say? This is the fourth. I think it's the 4th annual Comic Shop Talk Awards episode. So make sure to tune in for that. It's a lot of fun where we highlight and get to talk about some of our favorite and not so favorite things. Make sure to check that out. But yes, once again, Chris, thank you. And Merry Christmas to everybody. Happy New Year. Happy holidays, whatever you celebrate out there. And we'll see you on the next one, episode 211. Later, everyone. Later, Chris.
Bah humbug.